Hi and welcome. Thank you for joining me at JJ's Appliques. Today I am creating this versatile and fun flashing angel face oversized feltie with add-ons. This design set holds 3 sizes to finish this sweet angel. These sizes make it possible to add this darling little cherub to a clippy or a hat, on a dowel for wands and floral arrangements, or on baskets, wreaths, and so much more. They are easy and fast to stitch out. So let's have some fun and get started.
Having your design loaded, your thread colors chosen, stitch out the first step on the stitch map. And remove your hoop from the machine. With your hoop off the machine, the next thing we want to do is choose a color of flasher vinyl to use for the face. Once you do that, cut a piece that is big enough to completely cover this outline, sticky spray it. Once you have the flasher vinyl adhered to the cutaway stabilizer, head back to your machine. Once back at your machine, stitch out step 2 on the stitch map to triple stitch this flasher vinyl to the tearaway stabilizer. For the next decorative stitches, place a piece of wash-away stabilizer on top of your flasher vinyl so you will get the best stitch possible without the stitches sinking into the vinyl. And I like to float a piece of tearaway only underneath the hoop as I stitch the decorative stitches. With that, begin stitching your decorative stitches. And now remove your hoop from the machine. Next, remove the wash-away stabilizer from the top. Turn your hoop over. Now remove the tearaway stabilizer. You can trim up any loose threads at this point too if you want. Then turn your hoop back over. Now it's time to cut out the applique. I start at the top and cut as close as possible to the stitching as I'm coming around her face. Her hair is going to go on top of that, so you want to get it as close as you can. Now when you get to the necklace and the neck, come straight out. And then I turn it around and give it a little extra at the bottom as I'm coming around. Then I like to come back up at the top again. And come straight out at the angle. So she looks like that. And then head back to the machine. With your hoop back on the machine, stitch out step 7, which will stitch the outline for the vinyl placement for her hair. And then take your hoop off the machine. Once off your machine, if you'd like to trim up a little around the edges, feel free to do that. Choose a color of vinyl that you'd like to use for her hair. I would just place it over the top of her, since we're going to be cutting it out as the applique, and use tape to secure it in place. Then go back to your machine. With your hoop back on the machine and using the thread color you want to stitch out her hair, stitch out step 8 on the stitch map. And then remove your hoop from the machine. With your hoop off your machine, turn it over. Looking at the back, if you'd like to trim up any loose threads, do so. What you can do to give a little extra support to your flasher vinyl is put a piece of cutaway stabilizer over the entire design and then put the flasher vinyl on. This way it will give you 2 pieces of the cutaway stabilizer to insert the flasher into. So I'm going to do it this time, and then I'm going to tape down the edges and take this back to my machine. With your hoop back on the machine, having the flasher vinyl taped to the bottom of it, along with the extra piece of cutaway stabilizer, stitch out the last step of the stitch map. And now remove your hoop from the machine. Remove the design from your hoop. And then cut your design out. I like cutting most of the stabilizer off first. Makes it easier to work with. Here, you need to look underneath and see where your design is. And follow this around. To the other side. Carefully cut this off. Now, follow her hair. Along the front. Once you have her face trimmed out, just go back and trim gently around the neckline and up into the other side. You can curve out the corners or the edges a little more. There. I'm going to say she looks pretty good. Then you'll see the 2 pieces of stabilizer, the great opening there. put your flasher in, flasher side up. Now to stitch out her accessories. We'll be stitching the add-on wings next. So with your design loaded on your machine and thread colors and vinyl color that you have chosen, stitch out the first step of the stitch map. And now remove your hoop from the machine. You can see I used white thread for my outline placement stitch because I'm going to use white flasher vinyl, and if you use a darker color thread, it can show through. So I used white. What I'm going to do this time though is I'm going to just go ahead and put the whole piece of vinyl inside. It'll be easiest, and I'm going to use sticky spray because we'll have lots of detail. We're going to turn the hoop over. Since I'm using white flasher glitter vinyl, I use a piece of cutaway stabilizer on top of my stitching so you can't see it once you place your other piece of glitter vinyl on the backing. Once I do that, I tape it in place. And then let's go back to the machine. With your hoop back on the machine, with the stabilizer and vinyl attached to the bottom of the hoop, I like to put on a piece of the wash-away stabilizer. There's going to be a lot of detail stitching on the top. And stitch out the last step of the stitch map. Then remove your hoop from the machine. Once off your machine, remove the design from the hoop. Remove the wash-away stabilizer. I like to cut the design out smaller first like this. Now that I have it in a more workable size, I can cut it out much easier. Then just cut the other wing out. One of the easiest ways to get the wash-away stabilizer off is to just use your scissors or a seam ripper. Just go underneath the little edge. You can grab it. It kind of gets perforated at the stitching. Next is the halo add-on. So the cutaway stabilizer in your hoop, your design loaded on the machine, and the color thread that you'd like to stitch the halo out with, stitch out step 1 on the stitch map. And then you take your hoop off your machine. Get the color of vinyl that you would like to use for your halo. I say tape it to the front. Turn your hoop over. Place another piece of vinyl covering the outline and take your hoop back to the machine. With your hoop back on the machine, having the vinyl taped to the bottom of the stabilizer in the hoop, stitch out the last step of the stitch map. And then take your hoop off the machine. Remove the design from the hoop and then cut the design out. Then poke it, slit it up the middle, and you can see the inside, then just poke it again. Well, this is so fun with all the pieces. She's so cute, and I love the wings, her halo. What I would do next is glue the pieces together. I'm going to start with the halo. This other wing. And here is the opening for the flasher. Flasher side up, in, you can slide it in. She's big enough to put 2 flashers in, so I'm going to do that. Be a little bit more festive.
Remember, you can make this angel with or without flashers. Insert a dowel, add a ribbon to create an entertaining wand, or create a fun yard stake. Accessorize a Christmas outfit with a clip or barrette. She can brighten up a manger scene, a goodie basket, or a door wreath. Get inspired and emanate some Christmas cheer with these easy and fun crafting designs. You, your family, and friends will be delighted. Thank you for joining me in this tutorial. I hope you make many unique projects to share. And until next time, happy stitching!